Let's have a ball. It's fall! The greatest thing about fall is it means Christmas is coming. So we thought we would make for you a fun fall festive feast, an FFFF. That's the anagram. It's right before the holidays, so let's make a really nice dinner for you and your friends. Why not? Why wouldn't you do it? Your friends just want to see you. Invite them over for an FFFF. So what's on the menu? Well, we're going to have a beautiful stuffed pork tenderloin. We're going to use the sous vide. You can do it in the oven. I'll tell you how. It's delightful and really succulent and yummy and slightly difficult, so it's sort of a fun challenge. Then we're going to have cauliflower steaks, kind of, broiled in the oven, crunchy topping, very good. We're going to have a very English thing called mushy peas, which is usually served with fried fish and chips and mushy peas, but you can sort of gussy it up, and it's a very delicious, unctuous sort of side dish. And then for dessert, we're going to make fruit pound cake, kind of. It's like in between a Christmas cake, which you should have made by now, and a pound cake. It's a light fruit cake, like me. So unlike Christmas cake, which is quite dark and plummy sort of colored, this is more light, more sort of easygoing and doesn't have as much liquor in it, okay? And it comes from Jacques Pepin, who is absolutely fabulous and used to cook all the time with Julia Child and is a huge star and is an absolutely fabulous human being. This is his book, Jacques Pepin Celebrates, with probably the worst cover of any cookbook I've ever seen. Okay, but the recipes are flawless. So we're going to sort of slightly modify his recipe just a little bit. For some reason, he talks about making your own candied peel, which is not necessary because you can buy it. If you really want to make your own candied peel, go ahead. I bought it. And then I soaked it in some amaretto. Now and brandy. He wants you to soak it in something, Armagnac or something. But anyway, so we're slightly modifying it. And we're going to use some very delicious dried fruits, apricots, cranberries, soft and juicy tart cherries, figs, and we also have sweet cherries. So I'm going to just kind of make the batter for the cake, and then I'm going to add these chopped things until I like the distribution. I can show you his picture. We'll see if mine looks like his. So this is what he has it looking like. Delightful. And just for the sake of contrast, on the next page, he has his version of Christmas cake, which is more like that. We, of course, do Fanny Craddock's flawless Christmas cake recipe, which is even darker than this. But anyways, let's see what happens. Oh, here we go. We're going to use a cup of sugar and 2½ sticks of butter. That's pound cake. They don't say it's pound cake, but it is. So this is 2 sticks, as you know. So 2½ sticks. Here we go. There we go. With things like sugar and butter, eggs, like really just eggs and butter, you kind of don't want to eyeball it because they're involved in the leavening, and you have to be sort of careful with that. There's 2½ sticks of butter, and here's a cup of sugar. And we're just going to combine them, remembering that most Americans do not combine their sugar and butter enough. It's not plugged in. We made a summer fruitcake, which is still heavier and more sodden than this. This is more like a tea cake. So he wants you to use a loaf pan. We have this very beautiful loaf pan, which would be very nice, right? I thought it would be super cute in a mini loaf pan, But looking at this, I'm not sure how many it's gonna fill. And then I bought, and I have mixed feelings about this, I bought a silicone mold. Now I know that chefs all over the world and cooks use these. I don't know if I trust it or something. But anyways, we're gonna try and make them in here because I think that's a cute, cute size for them. Okay, here we go. This is nowhere near combined enough, just to tell you an example of combining. Should be light in color and texture. Jack Pepin is probably the most, I guess, the most famous for his shows with Julia Child. And they have sort of a funny relationship.
There is nothing as good as a great hamburger.
Yes, we're doing everything from hamburgers to Chateaubriand today.
We are cooking beef.
So good.
Now we're gonna add 5 eggs. That's a lot of eggs. It's gonna be very puffy cake. These are room temperature eggs. They're chambred. 1. They want you to add all the eggs at once, which is maybe not that smart, but we're gonna do that. 3. So by the time you guys see this, I will have closed my show with Edgar, which is already a pretty big success after weekend 1. So it'd be interesting what they can put on the screen here after it's closed, right? Pretty good. Okay, now before I add the lemon, the salt, and the flour, I'm gonna cut the fruit because there's no baking soda or baking powder, ominously. There's a lot of eggs, which is why. But I kind of want to get this prepared so that when the batter is ready, I can just fold in the fruit and I'm not hesitating. So in order to do that, I have to prepare my pans. Of course, Everbake. I'm just gonna go, okay? I've never used these, so fans who've used these, they're like, oh, she's, or they're going, yeah, it's pretty hard to use these, but I see them on shows all the time, and I see pretty up there guys using them. Okay, so I have some soaking fruit here. That's good. And I'm just gonna cut up some pretty fruit, right? To use as little bits, you know? A couple figs, some cranberries. Okay, I'm just gonna rough chop this. So think, how do you, first of all, take the stem. How do you want this to look in your cake, right? So these are dainty cakes. So you want dainty pieces, right? I'm not really a religious person, but I tell you that the Christmas time and fall and Thanksgiving and all that stuff is such a fabulous time of year. And I've told you a million times why. Because people, you say, you want to go out to dinner? Sure. Yeah. You want to come over? Have some cookies and stuff? Yeah, yeah. Like people are more inclined to do that kind of stuff, which I love. All right, that's plenty, and it looks nice. Very nice colors, right? I am now going to complete the batter. They want orange juice, but our orange juice looked weird, so we're gonna use lemon juice, which is fine. Now, it's gonna look really weird, kind of like it does right now. Sort of alarmingly weird, actually. They want 3 tablespoons, so we'll use about that much. Some salt. And there's 1 3/4 cups of flour. Gentle now. Okay. Now I'm just scraping down the sides. There's a little flour on the sides, and I think we need all the flour we can get here. Oh, the lemon is really nice. Okay, it's just incorporated. Don't overbeat this, because remember that thing happens to the gluten strand. Nobody knows what it is. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna get as much of this off this as I can, because we need it. It's kind of exciting. A new cake. Here's my batter. Now I don't want to overwhelm this, right, with fruit. So I'm gonna just kind of do this, right? And I'm gonna see what it looks like. And I'm remembering that we're gonna use a very small thing. Okay, put a little bit more. Then I'm gonna put a little bit of this dried, brandied peel in. I'm gonna use my hands, which are clean. I'm gonna kind of squeeze it a little bit to get the juice out of it. I mean, in theory, you could use all dried fruit if you want. Just when you're doing this part, just think about appearance. What do you want the little cakes to, or big cake to look like, right? Probably you want it to look beautiful. So I'm using a gentle touch. I'm not hammering this. I think we need more fruit. Okay, here's some more of this fruit. So I'm gonna squeeze over the garbage, even though it's liquor. I like to use amaretto for a lot of things because it adds a beautiful it adds a beautiful almond flavor, which I think is kind of delightful. All right, here we go. I'm liking the look of that. It makes a little bit of a mess, as you can see. But then again, a lot of good things make a mess, like dogs, relationships, things like that. I'm just cutting up a little bit more of the sweet cherries, not the tart cherries. Okay. That looks better. Okay. That looks good. I decided to go ahead and use all, how many is that? 12. All 12 loaves. Filling them is going to be an experience. I think I'm just going to start by going like this. This is not easy. We have some challenging stuff today. Don't worry, I'm gonna clean this up. So the cherries are beginning to bleed, which means I wanna get this into the oven quickly because I don't want a pink batter. All right, I'm smoothing it like this, smoothing it like that, smoothing it. Then I'm gonna wipe the edges. If these come out good, they're gonna be seriously on my holiday menu. And you could use any kind of fruit. Just cherries, just dried plums, just dried pineapple, you know, whatever you want. It actually fills 12 of these perfectly. All right, here we go. Now I'm gonna try to clean this. Let's see, okay. Amazing. Wow, necessity is the mother of invention. I don't think you can put a silicone mold in the oven sans tray, because how the hell are you gonna pick it up, right? Look at that, not bad, guys, come on. I mean, what are you gonna do? It looks pretty good to me. Oh God, this was a mistake. I should have put this on here first. All right, there you go. I think it looks beautiful. Am I crazy? Do I need to clean it more? I don't know, I've never used these. I don't know, like, are they fussy? Let's see. So they're small. So I'm gonna keep an eye on them and use the toothpick test because they're not gonna take as long as the loaf would take. So here we go. 350 oven. I'm using convection. You don't have to use convection. Let's see what happens. So Linny and I were talking about Downs individuals, and I worked for a couple years actually a year and change, in a group home for Downs adults, which was an amazing experience, kind of life-changing experience, and fabulous. And Lynn mentioned that at her street fairs, they have a popcorn company called Popcorn for the People, which is a company run by neurodivergent people and autistic people. And it's kind of an interesting thing. And she also said it's hugely popular. So I thought, let's get a box and do a little quick taste test of popcorn for the people. So this company was started by Samuel Beer and his family. Lynn lives in Hoboken, and they sell a lot of these in Hoboken, right, Lenny? In Hoboken. But it's you can get it anywhere. I'm interested to try it. You know, one of the great requisites of a happy life is meaningful labor. So if you tell a lot of people who are neurodivergent, or who are Downs, or have something, that they can't have a normal job, you're taking away something that will enrich them immeasurably and also make them feel like they belong in the world. Meaningful labor. We all need meaningful labor. Meaningful labor. Okay? So this is an opportunity for those people to have a meaningful job. Lynn got me kettle flavors. Bizarrely, dark chocolate espresso, question mark, but we'll try it. Oh, and French toast. They have tons and tons of flavors. Let's try French toast. When I worked in the group home, they were all over 40. The guys, they were all men. Ooh, that's good. French toast. Tastes like French toast. There's a sort of fallacy that Downs people are always happy. And that's another thing it's important to know that that's not true. And it's also dismissive of Downs individuals, that they're always happy, they're always smiling, they never get anxious, and it's a complete fallacy. So just remember that they get depressed and angry and frustrated and all that stuff. Here we go. Dark chocolate espresso. They sell this at street fairs?
And you can also buy them online.
And you can also buy this online. Are they represented at the booth?
Yep.
Oh, neat. Dark chocolate espresso. Very chocolatey. I can see why this would sell. Makes kind of a cool gift. Kettle. I mean, I remember those guys, those 4 guys, so deeply. One guy had Fragile X, which is a beautiful name for a pretty brutal genetic disorder. Fragile X, it's such a beautiful. But anyways, this is very good. Guys, meaningful labor, it's important. Popcorn for the people. Why not try it out? I think they're primarily autistic, but it's all neurodivergent people, and they need meaningful labor. And this is so sweet. So this bag was labeled and packed by Bruce. His favorite flavor is Chicago baked cheddar. Bruce. His job specialty is labeling bags of popcorn. This one was labeled by Elizabeth, and her favorite flavor is butter. And hers is labeling and filling bags of popcorn. She labels and fills. This is by Michelle. Her favorite flavor is butter. And she fills, labels, and makes popcorn. Popcorn for the people. I mean, give me a break. Yeah, those are done. So now they've cooled, and it's the moment of truth. Does the silicone mold work? It works! Wow. Holy cow. I might be using this quite a bit. The sides didn't brown, but I think that's okay. Wow. I mean, they come out effortlessly. I think we can say the silicone mold really works. Oh, it's still pretty hot. It's incredible. Wow. It's like an exquisite pound cake with salty fruit and a little fragrant almond. And it's still hot. I mean, it's still really hot. It'll become even more cakey. You know what this would be really cute for, if you had the time and energy, is to cellophane wrap these and give them as Christmas gifts. Christmas morning. Christmas morning. Thanksgiving for a plated dessert, or just put them on a tray and people can take them. I mean, wow, that's a really good cake. It's really, really good. All right, awesome. Fruitcakes came out perfectly. Silicone mold rules. Makes a good dessert for a fall or a Thanksgiving or a Christmas dinner. Cake. Let's make a stuffed pork tenderloin. The last time I made this, it disappeared down the necks of my guests. Okay? Here's a tenderloin. You notice it's much, much smaller than a pork loin. This is the end part. This is pretty beautifully trimmed. I'm just gonna take a little bit of this off. And I'm gonna attempt to remove the silver skin, but the truth is I don't really know how. I can try, but you should try to get this off or get them to take it off for you. It's fascia, like you have in your body too. I'm not gonna mess with that. Okay, so in order to stuff this, we have to open it up, all right? It's nerve-wracking, I'm not gonna lie, okay? Because if you cut through it, you're done for. So I'm just gonna cut, right? Until I'm about this far from the other side. Nerve-wracking, okay? Here we go. I start with a very small cut, right? Of course, Perusi. Okay. I'm using the tip of the knife, sort of. Okay. Now, you may notice that one side is much thicker. So, you can do it like this. We're gonna hammer it, okay? Or you can attempt to cut this also and open a third piece, which I've never done. Okay, and then hammer it. Okay, so I made another cut to kind of flatten it out. We have a big piece of meat on the back here, but it's okay. Get a plastic bag. You can do it like this, which is fine, or you can put it in the plastic bag. You don't want to hit the meat directly with the hammer because you could break it, all right? So you just want to pretty firmly, I'm hitting it, touching. Don't use this side. As you get thinner, be careful because one hit can break it. I'm constantly feeling the thickness. So we're basically using my recipe for this. The only thing I looked up when I made it was the cooking time. Like I said, we are going to use sous vide, but you can cook it in the oven and I'll give you the times for that. Order! I banged me gavel. You what? I banged me gavel. Okay, for now that's good. I mean, it looks fantastic to me. Okay, I'm just gonna hit it a couple more times and then I might hit it again before we stuff it. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave this and we're gonna move on to the filling. Okay, what is the filling? So the filling is the following things. A duxelle, which is a dried mushroom paste, which we're gonna make, kind of similar to the lining, one of the linings of a beef Wellington. It doesn't have to be that dry though for this because there's no pastry to be sogged by the mushrooms. It's these three things, as I said. A mushroom duxelle, chopped shallots, and spinach and a secret ingredient, which is pistachios. So I'm just gonna get this ready to be fried up. I think half is gonna be plenty, but we'll see. Sorry, this is a terrible job I'm doing here. Sort of like my brunoise on the pasties. Okay, these are baby portobellos. And the thing about these, and all mushrooms, dinner partiers, new and old, do not rinse mushrooms in water, ever. They will fill with water. So what do? First of all, they're grown and cultivated. They're not coming from the ground. Like, these aren't foraged, let's put it that way. So how do you clean this? You wipe them. These are already wiped, but you basically just wipe it until you don't see anything. This is not dirt. It's part of the mushroom. Anyways, do not rinse them, guys, okay? So cut these with this big machine. You don't really need to. Last night, of course, I tried yet again to use the small food processor, and the same thing happened that always happens when you try to use the small food processor, which is it didn't work. And you end up dirtying two machines. You want to make this into sort of a, like that. Falcon Enamelware, great products. So this is how it looks. And we're gonna put it in a dry pan, no oil, okay? And we're gonna sort of dry it out a little bit. It will sizzle, it will release liquid, and then it will dry. And then we're gonna put it on a paper towel, you'll see. It's labor intensive, so this is a labor of love. This is like a nice fall, beautiful, possibly romantic. If the boy or the girl is coming over, you could make this. Probably get a marriage proposal out of it. We're gonna just dry this out, then we're gonna deglaze the pan. We're gonna cook the shallots and the pistachios. But before we do that, we're gonna grind the pistachios, which I forgot about. It doesn't matter if there's a mushroom in here. Now this is too big. Pretty good. It looks wet because of the mushroom. So I'm just gonna leave that in there until we're ready. I mean, it's just divine. Now, you can also do a lining of prosciutto here in case you made any holes. So remember that, if you're nervous when you buy your tenderloin, buy a pack of prosciutto, because if you do bash through it, you can put a lining here of prosciutto. I did break the magic of television one. It has a big hole in it. But who cares, right? Okay, so let's make a duxelle and fry off the interior ingredients of our succulent tenderloin. You note, although the pan is seasoned, I put nothing in this pan.
Hot pan, nothing in it.
I'm gonna wait until it gets a little hot. You see I put nothing in it?
Hot pan, no olive oil.
The pan is seasoned, it has oil soaked into it, but it's, okay. Now, this might seem weird. That's it. So I'm gonna cook this. I'm gonna line the falcon with a little paper towels, because we're gonna drain it again after we dry it. Even though it doesn't really need to be that dry for this prep, because who cares? So a duxelle is kind of a classic French thing. The end. See the bubbles? Now for beef Wellington, you have to wait until there's really no bubbles at all. See all that water? Okay, so this dried out a lot. I'm going to remove it and put it in this paper towel. And this makes almost like a paste. Okay, and I'm gonna deglaze. It's gonna go berserk. Don't get upset. Okay, so I'm deglazing with a little vermouth. So I'm cleaning the pan, which is the other function of deglazing, is it gets all the yumminess from your mushroom duxelle into the liquid. I'm gonna cook this down. It's labor intensive, but it's easy labor. And you can also watch your shows, or I watched last night when I was doing this, I watched 3 old episodes of Great British. It was fun. Okay, this is perfect, ready for my shallots. Here they go. Oh, this already is divine. Okay, I'm gonna put a little knob of butter in here. You know, you can make up your own filling. If you don't want to put pistachios, but just think of how it's gonna look. What do you want it to look like when they cut the slice? And that will tell you what to put in it. Just a little piece of butter there. My niece, as you know, is a physician, and I had a huge everything bagel with melted processed cheese and scrambled eggs on it. And I sent her a picture saying, AMA, against medical advice. As you know, she runs Health Meets Wellness. And she's doing pretty well. I'm gonna get the pistachios. I'm just gonna put these in, and we're gonna sort of dry this out a little bit because it gets a little bit moisty. I mean, if this doesn't look like a really good filling for pork, I'm not sure what does. I'm gonna use one of my favorite new ingredient, green peppercorns. I don't even know what to say. They're absolutely divine. I should have ground them, but I'm gonna grind them in my hand. And they'll soften in the roast. I should have ground them, but I forgot. Oh, what a flavor. I'm being very conscious of flavoring this because, or seasoning this, because the pistachios have salt. Mamma mia. Oh my God. A little bit of pepper. Let's talk about sage. Let's talk about sage, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the herbs that we can use when we're cooking. Let's talk about sage. Let's talk about sage. The problem with sage, too much sage, and it tastes like cough medicine. It's a beautiful flavor. It's strong, okay? So you don't want to add too much sage. I'm just gonna cut a few little pieces because we will also wrap a little bit of sage around it. Just a tiny little seasoning there. All right, so I'm putting this on a plate for a second because I kind of want it to cool down a little bit. You should really let it cool completely. You just don't want to put a hot filling in, something that you need to set up, because you have to, it'll weirdly cook the inside. Oh yeah. I'm gonna just put it in the regular fridge because I don't want it to disturb the dogs who are sleeping. All right, here we go. Let's stuff the loin. So you're gonna roll it, but it's gonna be hard to roll because it's gonna be filled. So I didn't take the silver skin, so I'm gonna try to roll the silver skin in. I mean, if I can't, I can't. Here is our mushrooms. So put this on your loin, your flattened loin, and then just kind of press it out. Pretty flat. Make sure it's all the same height. And when you run into problems rolling it, don't give up. Okay, you can do it. I'm also flattening it. I'm not just drying it. So you see how like the steps are easy, but there's a lot of steps, okay? Now I'm gonna take my filling and my spinach. So this is, you gotta do this carefully. Take a piece of spinach like this, okay? And you're gonna actually press them in to this like this. Take the stem off. Big pieces, if you can find them. Or if you can get bigger, this is baby spinach, I don't know why I bought this. If you can, the bigger leaves are obviously better. Pistachio, which has cooled. You're gonna lose some of this when you roll it, just be ready. Now I'm gonna mash this flat the same way that I did the rest of it. If I was alone and I was doing this for a dinner party, I'd be drinking. Now you got a challenge, okay? Because it doesn't want to roll. It wants to be flat, okay? I'm actually gonna fold this in like that. Here we go. And then fold this under like that. Now we're gonna tie it, okay? It's not big enough to do a spiral. It's not flat enough to do a spiral. So really, this is your challenge, is tying it. We're gonna tie it in little pieces and then we're gonna trim these. We're sous videing, so you can use any kind of string you want. Don't use nylon string, obviously. Don't use plastic. So this is, you know, not the most gorgeous thing on the planet, but it sure is gorgeous on the plate. So there's a way of tying a roast where you can look it up online, where you put a ring around the end and then you wrap it around the back of your hand and it makes the line down the center. But I'm a little nervous about doing that with this because the bottom is open. So I don't really want to do that because I'll be lifting it up too many times. This is kitchen twine, very normal sort of thing, kitchen twine. And I'm doing it fairly tight because as we sous vide, it will knit together, the end, the bottom. Okay, now we're gonna trim these. Now, why am I trimming them? Well, because after we sous vide it, we're gonna sear it. And you don't want big pieces of burnt string in your pan. This should set up for a little bit, maybe an hour in the fridge. Overnight is fine. You can put this in there before you go to work. I'm just gonna look at the bottom. There's the seam, little explosion there. Doesn't really matter, okay? Because this is pretty good. And it looks divine. Okay, we're gonna take a plastic vacuum sealing bag and we're gonna actually seal it and make a bag because this is a strange shape. The last little doodad we're gonna do, which is gonna make it extra hard to get in the sous vide bag, is we're gonna put dots of butter like this and we're gonna stick pieces of sage to those dabs, okay? Now, this sage is gonna sear off, basically, so it's just very beautiful. I like to do it. Is it necessary? The answer is no. Does it make it more difficult to get it in the sous vide bag? Yes. If you're doing this in the oven, I would not put the sage on top because it could burn. Well, we're gonna burn it in the pan. Actually, leave the sage on top. Okay, now we're gonna make a sous vide bag. Now, yes, is there a problem with the fact that I smashed a huge plastic bag that had to be thrown out, and now we're gonna use another huge plastic bag? Yeah, there is a problem. And the problem with sous vide bags is that the cleanable ones aren't really that good. So if somebody in the world could please make a reusable sous vide bag, it would be really great. Okay, this is my very temperamental food saver. Okay, we're gonna make a seal on the bottom. This is extremely temperamental. Okay, I'm gonna do like this, and I'm gonna press seal only, and I'm gonna press down because you have to. Check your seal. Make sure your seal goes all the way across the bag. Very important. Now look, for Christmas and for a special meal, it's not the dumb thing to do to wrap this before it goes in here. So I'm gonna do it. I mean, yeah, you can complain. You have every right to complain. Okay, sticky side out. So if it really matters, wrap it. Now, in theory, could you wrap this in cloth? The answer is yes. I think you could wrap this in cloth. Okay, here we go. Pick it up, put it in. Oh, I made the bag way too big, but oh well. Okay, here we go. Now, food savers, as all of you out there who have food savers know, they don't really work. You have to coax them to work. So you want to put this in this little thing here and just come on. Come on. Don't let your hand off here. Perfect. We're going to cook this at 147, which is in between, this is sous vide, not the oven, which is in between the way a chef would do it, which is quite pink, and the way it's overdone. In other words, exactly right. People in your house don't really want to eat super pink pork. So I sort of split the difference between overdone and pink. I'm going to put this in the sous vide bath for 1 hour and 30 minutes. Here is my special sous vide bin. Is it corny? It's corny. You can use a bucket. But I gotta tell you, this thing is a lot easier. And also, the water doesn't evaporate. I just put it in the fridge for a minute. Come on, little feller. Here we go. Close. 1 hour and 30 minutes. Set timer. We're gonna do a kind of interesting side called mushy peas, which are English, perhaps edging me closer to my MBE. Mushy peas are essentially blended peas. They're served with fish and chips commonly. They're also sometimes battered and fried. You can buy peas with French fries, and it's called a pea mix. So if you're a veg and you go to fish and chips place, you go, pea mix, please, and they'll give you mushy peas and French fries. So a very funny story about Ricky Gervais's sidekick, Carl Pilkington, was he went to have sushi with Ricky, and he ate this big thing of mushy peas, and of course it was the wasabi. So it looks like wasabi, but it's really just peas and some flavoring and a little bit of cream. You can make it as choppy looking as you want. It is pureed briefly. And we are going to use thawed peas. We're going to use a little bit of shallot. We're going to use some cream and some butter, okay? And we're going to blend it up until I like the look of it. And then we are going to gently warm it before service. This can be made a day in advance, if you choose, okay? I am also going to put in a small amount of herbs, which is not something you would get I'm messing up my chances for an MBE. Maybe I shouldn't put the herbs in. No, I'm gonna put a tiny bit of thyme. Shallot, it's going in here, so you don't have to worry too much about it, right? Put a little bit of cream. Just a little to start. You can always add it. You can't take it away. A little bit of butter for your peas. A little bit of butter for your peas. On Great British Menu, great show, or MasterChef The Professionals. You can also put mint in here. I just don't have any. They're always reinventing this. You know, they're always like the deconstructed mushy peas, which is weird because it's pretty deconstructed. A little bit of salt. I'm going to see how this processes before I put any more in here. Any more liquid. Okay. English people are dying all over the place right now. Pulse. It should be a little more than that, but that's close to how I like them. I'll show it to you. It's almost like a bright green, sort of, kind of like a paste, but it's a chunky paste. I'll show you. And this is considered, you know, a very, very, very English thing. In fact, I think it's only in England that they have this. Oh, it's good. Ooh, oh my gosh, that's so good. Do it to taste. You're a dinner party, you know what you're doing. Then I'm gonna scrape it into a little pan. I'm just gonna warm it before service. It's finished. That's it. Okay, I'm just gonna decant these mushy peas into this very nice saucepan I just found. You can make these in advance, like I said. I'm really just heating them. And if I'm not crazy about the consistency, I can always add more cream or more butter. These look like mushy peas to me. They can be much more wet if you want. Okay, I'm gonna put a little more cream in here because it's a little bit, tiny bit tight. A little bit. That's a pretty stiff one. There, that's plenty. And we're just gonna heat this through, okay? And then we're done. A little bit of mint would be sort of fab, I think, in this. I just didn't buy any. All right, guys, that's ready. Basically, it's just heating. So we can move on and finish up. Oh, I didn't see you there. Welcome to dinner party tonight. Actually, we're just making some roasted cauliflower steaks. If you're a vegetarian, one of the common things you'll see in a restaurant is cauliflower steaks. We're just doing it as a little side dish. They tend to put a lot of like heavy, buttery things on it because they want it to be like a steak, and it's frequently inedible. But ours is very simple. It's just a panko sprinkling with a little bit of capers and some shallots. I'll show you. Shallots. I have a regular old baking sheet here, and these are panko breadcrumbs, which are just white breadcrumbs. And I have some butter. Oh yeah. This should be melted, but it doesn't really matter. So melt the butter before you put it in the breadcrumb. But it's fine. The butter is very soft, so it's fine. Okay, just mixing this together. We're gonna cut the steaks in 1 second, but I'm not gonna put a ton of these in, okay? And then we just want, okay, a little salt and peps. Not too much salt because the capers are pickled, so they have quite a bit of salt. Peps and Heimer. Okay, we're going to try to cut steaks, which I've never done. So these are trimmed by the farmer. So you want to trim these a little bit because they haven't been cut in a while, you know? Oh my God! It could work! Okay, I'm cutting the bottom of the stalk, the very bottom, because I'm gonna do it like this so I don't have to do it again, because it was brown, okay? Sharp knife is a prerequisite. Okay. It looks like a brain, doesn't it? Yes, Randy. It does. There you go. Think we can get one more? I don't know. Je ne sais pas. No, you can't. So here's some small little pieces. Little tiny bit of olive oil. Okay. A little bit of pepper. Oven is at 400. This is a nice thing to make for people who don't eat meat, but it's kind of a hearty side. It's not messing around, you know. And we're gonna cook it only until it's crispy on the top. We don't wanna cook the hell out of it because we have the mushy peas, you know. You don't need two mushy things is what I'm saying. Just kind of put this on. I'm just trying to evenly distribute the rest of the crunchy topping. Looks pretty delightfully delicious to me. I don't know about you guys, but I think it looks pretty good. Now, if you want to be kind of fancy, you're going to put a little bit of pink peppercorns on here for color. Also, they have a delightful flavor. Not too many. You could put togarashi on here if you wanted. One of your dinner party tonight favorites. Let's take it to the stage. I'm putting this in. Now I need the oven to be kind of hot, so I have it on convection 400. But I'm gonna actually raise it a tiny bit. Keep your eye on it. I would broil it for a split second at the end, especially if you have a gas oven, because you want the top to be crunchy. And you want, of course, the cauliflower to be cooked. So this will take, gosh, I don't know. It'll take 15 minutes. Let's say 20 minutes. Here's our pork loin, cooked to perfection. I'm just going to release it from its baggerini. Okay, there you go. Oh, it's beautiful. It smells of fall and quiet times. Don't cut the strings. There's your pork loin. Now, you know, you could serve it like this. It's a little wan, W-A-N, okay? I don't know if you want to do that. It seems weird to me, okay? So you want to sear this. Now, how are you going to sear it? You're going to take a pan, you're going to melt some butter in the pan and some olive oil so the butter doesn't burn, and you're literally going to brown it in the pan. Then you're going to pour this juice in there, going to set it on its serving tray and pour the juice on top of it. Let's take it to the stage. All right, here we go. We're going to sear it, and then it's going to rest, and you can finish up all your other dishes. Looking good. Okay.
Hot pan, olive oil.
That's right. A little sherry. Juice for the cook. Okay, here we go. Little olive oil. You want this to be kind of searingly hot, guys, okay? Searing the loin. Now, the very easy thing to do is to do this outside if you have a grill. Then you can really get it going. So I'm turning it. I'm going to sear the presentation side again after I put the butter in. That makes it brown more beautifully. It's quite stuck together now. Kind of getting some color on all the sides. And then once more on presentation side. Leave it there until you like the way it looks. It's sous vide. This is a matter of a few minutes extra. Don't worry about it. Rolling this around in here, picking up my presentation, picking up the loin, setting it down. Now I'm just going to pour this in. You don't even really need any heat right now. A little vermouth, never hurt anybody. Let this cook down a tiny bit. And I'm just going to put a tent over this, a loose tent. So the sauce should be the essence of the thing, right? So we use the scrapings from the bottom of the pork. A little bit of the filling came out, which is fine. I'm not going to sieve this. I'm going to pour it with the little bumpy things in it because it's better. All right. I mean, this is going to be really good. Getting the string off, a little bit of a hassle, but you can do it. You're a dinner partier. Stuffed pork loin, resting. Your cauliflower should be ready. Turn the heat up a little on the mushy peas, and you're ready to go. Okay, this is done. I checked it with a fork. The fork went straight through. and it's nice and crispy on top. That looks pretty damn good to me. Okay, peas are nice and hot. Mushy peas aren't so mushy. They are lovely like a pea slushy. Yummy peas, mushy peas, please give me peas and make them mushy. Mushy peas, please. So what I'm doing here is I'm cutting a slice right next to the string, and I'm gonna pull the string before I give it to my guest. That's what we've chosen to do. I could cut it and pull it, but you see what happens. So I've decided to cut a piece and let the string fall and just not let them see the string. But it's up to you how you'd like to do it. However, do not serve string. So today we made a fabulous festive fall fabulous dinner. We had stuffed pork tenderloin with pistachios and spinach and mushrooms. We had cauliflower steaks with beautiful capers and breadcrumbs. We had mushy peas. We made them our way, but I think they're pretty good. Then we had delicious light fruitcakes, individuals. People love individuals. We also sampled popcorn for the people. What a day. What a meal. Get ready for the holidays. If you haven't made your Christmas cake, make it tonight. We made a fun, festive fall feast, or, I mean, come on. You can't beat this, is all I gotta say. We want to say thank you guys so much, as always, for watching the show, for sharing your great successes and your losses with us, for being so kind and so loyal to Dinner Party Tonight. If you feel like it, press those buttons that make the algorithm work. Nobody knows how it works, but if you could do that, it'd be great. And try to make one of these things. You know, the pork loin is intensive, it's intensive, but you can do it. And everything else is very easy. So this would be a great meal to just ask somebody over. That's all we want. That's all Dinner Party Tonight wants. It's called Dinner Party Tonight. Call your friend and say, do you want to come over tonight? And if you don't like what you made, you don't have to serve it. They just want to see you. So have a dinner party tonight. Dainty pieces for a dainty cake. Dainty pieces for a dainty cake. Dainty pieces for a dainty cake. I say a dainty pieces for a dainty cake.